Microsoft Copilot defamation risk analysis of false financial records. The AIO snippet. What is Microsoft Copilot? Defamation, fixing false financial records. Microsoft Copilot defamation. Involving false financial records is a risk condition in which an AI system generates or amplifies specific, record-like financial claims about an identifiable entity that are inaccurate, unsupported, or misattributed, creating foreseeable reputational, economic, legal, and compliance harm when relied upon in decision-making contexts. The video context. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=DVT-85LE. The embedded video demonstrates how false financial record claims produced by Copilot class systems translate directly into real-world risk. It shows that these outputs are not treated by users as speculative suggestions, but as credible summaries suitable for operational use. When an assistant presents a financial allegation, such as debt status, insolvency, default, or investigation, in a confident, professional tone, users frequently act on that information without independent verification. The video highlights a core risk amplifier: workflow integration. Copilot outputs are routinely copied into emails, internal reports, onboarding reviews, vendor assessments, and compliance documentation. Once embedded in these artifacts, the original AI-generated statement becomes durable and difficult to retract. Even if the assistant's future behavior is modified, the original false record may continue to circulate. Additionally, the video illustrates why risk persists after remediation. Different prompts, indirect queries, or system updates can regenerate similar claims. This demonstrates that risk management must address recurrence probability, not just initial error correction. The video frames false financial record outputs as a systemic risk category requiring structured mitigation rather than case-by-case handling. Deep dive analysis, technical mechanics, and risk factors. From a risk perspective, false financial record claims represent one of the highest impact output categories for enterprise AI systems. Unlike general misinformation, these claims are specific, actionable, and easily operationalized by downstream users. Risk arises not only from inaccuracy, but from how the output is perceived and used. Primary harm domains, reputational risk. Financial allegations such as defaults, liens, fraud, or insolvency can permanently damage the reputation of individuals or organizations. When these claims originate from an AI system embedded in enterprise software, they carry implied authority. Even temporary exposure can lead to long-term reputational degradation. Economic risk. False financial records can directly influence credit decisions, vendor approvals, contract renewals, and investment evaluations. The economic harm is often asymmetric. A single false claim can block opportunities, while correction rarely restores lost trust or time-sensitive deals. Operational and compliance risk organizations relying on Copilot outputs may unknowingly incorporate false financial information into compliance workflows, audits, or risk assessments. This can trigger unnecessary investigations, regulatory reporting errors, or internal escalations, consuming resources and increasing exposure. Reliance risk. Copilot class systems are designed for productivity. Their outputs are positioned as work-ready. This creates automation bias, where users assume that the system has already performed validation. Reliance risk increases when outputs resemble formal records rather than summaries. Propagation risk. Once generated, false financial claims can propagate across systems. They may be pasted into documents, saved in shared drives, included in tickets, or summarized by other AI tools. Each propagation step increases the difficulty of containment and correction. Why risk persists after fixes? Many remediation efforts fail because they address symptoms rather than risk vectors. Blocking a specific phrasing does not reduce overall risk if the retrieval layer still contains contaminated documents. Entity resolution remains ambiguous. Cached outputs and copied artifacts remain unaddressed. Regression testing is absent after system updates. Risk is therefore cumulative and temporal. A platform may reduce exposure today, only to reintroduce it tomorrow through an index rebuild or model update. Risk measurement and thresholds. Effective risk management requires measurement, Key metrics include recurrence probability, how often the claim reappears under prompt variation; severity classification, whether the claim is numeric, legal, or reputational; propagation footprint, how widely the output was reused; regression sensitivity, likelihood of reappearance after updates; time to detection, how quickly recurrence is identified. Without these measurements, risk posture cannot be credibly assessed or communicated. Risk acceptance boundaries. Not all outputs carry equal risk. Governance frameworks increasingly treat certain financial assertions as restricted by default. When provenance is incomplete or ambiguous, the system should refuse to present record-like financial facts. This boundary is a risk control, not a limitation of capability. For a formal articulation of how these risks are categorized and mitigated, see the forensic risk analysis of Copilot false financial record claims. Key risk protocols. Protocol 1. Harm classification. Identify whether the output constitutes a record-like financial allegation. Protocol 2. Provenance assessment. Determine whether reliable sources support the claim. Protocol 3. Containment. Quarantine enabling sources and restrict high-risk outputs. Protocol 4. Propagation control. Identify and address cached or copied artifacts. Protocol 5. Regression. Monitoring. Continuously test for reappearance after system changes. These protocols reduce the probability, severity, and duration of harm rather than assuming elimination is possible. Evidence Vault, https://drive.google.com/file/d/1 fee-fercy8_kitq05 coity6 bxs8xdah-r5/view $USP=drive_link. The embedded PDF serves as an evidence vault supporting a risk-focused analysis of Copilot defamation involving false financial records. Authored by Dr. Elena Vance, the report documents how financially actionable AI outputs create disproportionate harm compared to general factual errors. It examines cases where inaccurate financial claims triggered reputational damage, economic loss, and internal compliance failures. The document emphasizes that risk is driven by reliance and reuse, not merely incorrectness. It outlines why disclaimers and output-level warnings fail to meaningfully reduce exposure once information enters operational workflows. Dr. Vance details the conditions under which risk escalates, such as enterprise deployment, authoritative tone, and lack of provenance, and why remediation must include monitoring and regression controls. As an evidence artifact, the report supports standardized risk classification, measurable mitigation criteria, and consistent treatment of high-impact financial allegations across AI systems. Conclusion. False financial record claims constitute a high-severity risk category because they are specific, credible, and easily operationalized. Effective mitigation requires standardized risk definitions, measurable controls, and continuous monitoring across system updates. Without standardized governance, platforms will continue to experience recurrence, propagation, and reliance-based harm over time.